What's up, New England and beyond? The Room Podcast, Tuesday night. It seems like I'm doing a lot of nights. So tonight, special podcast Tuesday night with my buddy here from Cage Size Press and New England MMA. It's Dylan Napoleone. What's up, my friend, man? It's been a little while since you've been on the show.
It sure has, Steve. I appreciate you having me back, man. It's always great to talk to you. And if you ask me, man, there's no better time to do it. We got some cool things coming up here in 2024. It's the first week of the month and a lot of cool things to look forward to. So, yeah, man, I'm glad to be here. Good to talk to you. Hope everything's well.
Hey, last time we talked to you, you were in the parking lot of Bass Pro Shop, man.
Today I got the day off.
Yeah, but looking now, man, you got your own stuff going on. We're going to cover that and get to your studio and, you know, the evolution of my man right here, man. But let's get to the holidays first, bro, because you know, we're a little over a week removed from New Year's, man. How were your holidays, buddy?
Holidays were good, man. I spent Christmas Day chilling with the family. Usually at work on the holidays. I like to work them holidays so that I can keep traveling to all these shows, man. You know what I'm saying? That's usually, you know, whenever I can scoop one or two up here and there, I always do. But I did have the day off, so it was well spent with the family. My father works in law enforcement, so he's usually on the road for the holidays and stuff. But this year was cool. We had him home. Actually, he worked later in the day, so it was good. And then New Year's kind of took it easy, not too much. But I've been grinding, man. My Bass Pro keeps me real busy. And then my passion for MMA, of course, keeps me super busy as well. I reeled off 2 interviews before we got on this call today. So, yeah, man, just kind of grinding and, you know, one step at a time, if that makes sense.
Nice, my man. Congratulations on, you
How
know.
about you, Steve? You have some good holidays, too?
Well, you know, December for me, holidays at the post office is pretty a grinding month. I basically work every day. And, you know, at this time of year, I mean, at this time of my life, my family, my kids are grown, late 20s. And my family itself, like my sisters and brothers, they're all old, so we meet up.
Yeah.
But, you know, there's no exchanging Christmas presents, any of that stuff anymore. You know, I throw my kids a check. They're all happy.
That's
And
it, man.
I get to work and make a little extra money with the overtime working, you know, during December. So it's not an eventful December, but it's
worth it.
And it's one I'm used to, and I enjoy it because it keeps me busy. And,
yeah, man.
you know,
I hear you.
And like you said, you know, working for Bass Pro, it affords you the ability to cover MMA. And the same thing with here. Like, I wouldn't have this Room podcast if I didn't hustle at work and make a little extra money to do what I love, man. So we're both hustling, and Christmas was good to finally answer that question, my man. Thanks for asking.
That's good. Good to hear, man. Glad to hear it. I know, for me too, every year, like the holidays start to kind of like dwindle down in terms of all excitement and stuff. But man, at the end of the day, work is work, and we wouldn't have anything we want to have or anything that we want to get without some hustle, you know.
Excellent. Exactly. You know, we're a little dormant from the MMA since the end of November. Now it's picking up. We had reality fighting, you know, a little while ago. And now we got Cage Titans on the 27th. But before we get to talking about local MMA and all that other stuff, let's recap your year. And the year of, you know, MMA, the community here in New England, and what you've been doing, you know, inside and outside, because like we mentioned, you know, you got a new media outlet you're doing some stuff for.
Yeah.
And let's talk about it, Dylan. Let's talk about your 2023 year and the excitement, man. You're on the map now, bro. You've been flying, hanging out with Bellator, PFL, bull riding. All this shit, man.
Some bull riding. So, man, I'll give you a recap. I'll do the best I can without taking forever. Been trying to cover everything. Man, 2023 was my first year in the media game. My first year as a journalist in the journalist game is what I was trying to say. But everything and more than I could have ever expected. Somehow managed to keep a great attendance record at work. I don't know how I pulled that off. I covered a shitload of events this past year, man. I covered probably just over one event a year, or I'm sorry, a month. So I probably covered a total of about 15 to 18 events. Made an average of one and a half a month. If I could cover more, I would. But it was a good year. I did a lot of cool events. I traveled to some huge Bellator events. I was at Fedor's retirement fight. I was at Bellator 300, a monumental event, the number 300, obviously. I was at the Bellator 301, which happened to be the very last Bellator event. I witnessed some amazing fights, but I went basically, to sum it up, I went to a ton of events, watched a ton of MMA, traveled across the country. I was in California a couple times. I was in Sioux Falls, South Dakota once, all over New England, Massachusetts, Connecticut. I did a lot of traveling, more traveling this past year than I ever did in my whole life combined. So it was a cool year, man. I explored a lot of areas, a lot of new states. California was cool. I spent a lot of time out there, probably like 2 or 3 weeks combined with everything. And like I said, I still managed to keep a perfect attendance record at work, and I still have some paid time off to use up before February. So I'm impressed with myself there. But yeah, I just covered a ton of MMA, really put my foot into it, invested into it, all sorts of new equipment, all sorts of this little studio that I got going here. A lot of new equipment, cameras, computers, microphones, all sorts of stuff. And there were some pieces where I started at the bottom. I had like trial and error with a lot of equipment too. But I eventually found everything, and now I'm rocking. But yeah, 2024 should be awesome, man.
Awesome, man. I'm gonna pick your brain about some of your equipment now, bro, because I
Yeah.
kind of did the same thing, man. You're doing it in lightning speed compared to the way I've done it. It's taken me.
My thing is though, Steve, is like when I want something, if I want to order something, like I can't wait, dude. It's the problem. I gotta do it now. Like if I find something and I need it, it's a new accessory, a new cord,
Yep.
a new whatever, dude. I just right then and there, I get it. And
Hey,
so that's why everything happens so quick for me, man. It's just because I don't have any patience.
exactly. And I mean, having a good job and saving your money for what you have passion for, and it's investment, man. It ain't like that stuff's gonna disappear. You're gonna have
That's
it,
it.
and as I when I just kept kind of shedding like a snake shedding the old
Yeah.
equipment and just upgrading and stuff. And
I
finally,
probably I probably wasted a bunch of money too with stuff that I thought was gonna work out, but then I was like 2 months later, I want to get something with a little bit more accessory, a little bit more features. But to be honest, like I'm glad I did. I learned a lot about the sport. I learned about a lot like technology, computers, cameras. I always knew about this stuff, but I didn't really know how to work a computer, or I'm sorry, a camera, like a nice digital camera. Never really knew how to use it. Now I know how to use them. All sorts of cool stuff like video editing, like not even the experience, but the skills that I've kind of like learned and honed in on and really used over the past couple months and the year, honestly, is just cool stuff that I've been able to kind of compile.
well, my friend, I see that Yeti mic right in front of you, bro. That was one my favorite mic at a time. Is that one you can do three different angles, right? Or is it got four angles now?
This one right here, I found it on sale at Best Buy actually. You can really, this one here is you can move it around really wherever you want, so you could kind of position it any which way.
But
But
it's
yeah,
but it,
go
it-
ahead.
it's got like four different mics in it, right? It picks up
Oh
different.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's very, yeah. It's got a lot of cool features to it. I can plug it into anything. It has all sorts of gauges and dials on it. I haven't experimented much with it, but I usually just kind of set it up and leave it here for when I come in here. But I'll explore more with it. I know I had to invest in some cords and stuff for this thing, so it's a cool piece of equipment. My interviews definitely come out crisp, and it gets the job done. But it has definitely has like the technology you were just talking about with the like four different side microphone.
Excellent, my man. Glad to see it, bro. 2023, big year for you. Now 2024, bro. We're starting.
Starting over again.
Yeah, last year, like you went to a bunch of Bellator events, and Bellator and PFL merged, and now
Merged.
they're one big company, man. What's your outlook of 2024? I'm sure you're going to be media and
Yeah.
traveling, seeing some of those shows. What's their first show of 2024? If they
Yeah.
haven't had it yet, and what's are you going to be at it? And
Yeah.
all right, so talk about that, my man.
So honestly, to answer your question, they haven't announced anything yet for 2024 Bellator or PFL. They've been kind of stagnant, but I know they work in the season format. So I don't really, I don't know if anything normally comes out around this time of the year. I don't think they do announce anything till a little bit later. But now with the acquisition of Bellator, they're gonna change a lot, and I don't know exactly what's gonna happen in terms of like season and fights and stuff like that, regular season and tournaments and stuff. Not exactly sure what's gonna happen there. So no, nothing is on the agenda with Bellator PFL. But as soon as I hear something or they book a show, I'll definitely make plans to be there. But man, I joined Cage Side Press just a couple weeks ago, probably maybe like 2 months ago, with for the sole reason of just really they're an up and coming company, and I want to be a part of something that's up and coming, something that covers more than just New England. It gives a great perspective for the rest of MMA, and that's really what I was kind of devoted to for most of the year is the PFL, Bellator, and UFC. And one of the game changers, something super important to me when I joined Cage Side, is the fact that I'll be able to cover UFC events this year. So that was huge, and that was a big part of why I did that. And so yeah, hopefully 2024. Well, I know 2024 I'll definitely be at a couple UFC events as well.
Let's talk about Cage Side Press. How did you get involved with them? Where'd you meet them? It happened pretty quickly, and I would imagine it was from all your traveling and just meeting people and making connections along the way.
Yeah, exactly. It was exactly what you just said, 100%. Eddie Law is one of their biggest guys, one of the guys who runs the company, and I met him at a Bellator event, and so we became good buddies, and then started talking here and there, and I just finally came to a census that I wanted to join them, and I hit up one of my buddies. His name is Dylan Rush, and he made a couple of text messages, and the next day I was in there. So it happened really quick with them too.
Now, is Dylan Rush also a part of their media outlet?
Yeah, yep.
So
He's a journalist from New York City, just like me, actually.
excellent,
We
my man.
traveled a ton this year. Me and him are close in age. He just graduated the journalism school at ASU. We met at Bellator, or I'm sorry, at the PFL Championships. I have the poster right here. We met there, and he was working for Fight Club at the time, and he ended up leaving them, going to Cage Side, and we became like best buddies at the PFL event. We talk every day. We traveled to a lot of events this past year together, and yeah, he was a huge role in how and why I joined Cage Side for sure.
Now, does Cage Side also cover like regional MMA? Like, or is it mostly the big guns, the upper promotions they hit?
They'll they'll cover really anything. They have a lot of great journalists from across the country, across the world. Honestly, we have a couple guys up in Canada too. Really, we're all kind of like free. We're not obviously not freelance. We're kind of tied to the company, and we contribute a lot of what we do to the company. But a lot of guys have free range. How about that's a better way of saying it? Free range, and really just whatever you produce is welcome to their platform. So we have guys that interview a lot of regional fighters. We got UFC fighters. Me, I mix it up with everything. But yeah, really anything is welcomed over there.
Excellent, my man. Well, what is the next thing you'll be covering with them as far as bigger than a regional event?
So I honestly don't know yet. I was going to cover the Atlantic City, New Jersey UFC card, where Connor Matthews just signed to that card. But we have another great journalist out of Pennsylvania by the name of Jake Noaker. And so he got that event before me. But we came up with an agreement that wherever the next UFC event is in New England or within, this just general area, that'll be my event. So whichever one comes out next, whether it's a pay-per-view, a fight night, anything, I'll be at that one, provided that it's in this area.
Excellent, my man. Well, I can't wait to see your coverage, bro. On the New England MMA Instagram, you've been killing it. As I stepped back
Yep.
You took the reins, man, and I mean the followers and the views and the love that you've been getting and giving to that New England MMA Instagram is huge, bro. You're hitting a whole nother fan base, and you're also cross posting with Cage Side Press,
Yeah.
helping out the regional fighters, still giving them
Yep.
that shine. And man, congratulations, man, on all the juggling, man.
I appreciate it.
It's great to see. I know it's all passion, and
Yeah, it is.
it,
It's a lot.
I great to see it.
I caught my second win. I was almost out of breath from explaining that before. But no, man, it's been great. It's been really more than I ever expected. I joined this journalism game by contacting Travis, one of our guys at New England, and I really just wanted to try it out. I really didn't know what to expect, what I was getting myself into, if that makes sense. I just loved the sport of MMA and wanted to find a better purpose or a more meaningful role in the sport, if that makes sense. And so I joined it, and it's been great to me. And all I want to do is get to the highest level and cover these huge UFC events and stuff like that. So I got the opportunity to join Cage Side, and they get credentials by the UFC. And so obviously that was a huge goal of mine that I feel like it really won't. I won't consider it done until I'm at my first UFC event. I was thinking about it the other day. I was like, man, how are the feelings gonna be at my first UFC event? And honestly, I think it's gonna be an emotional roller coaster for me because I started at the bottom and I wanted to get there. And so I'm excited to be at one of those shows for sure. The next one on the agenda though is Combat FC up in Mass.
Excellent. That is the next card you will be covering and being at. Let's talk about what has happened and what will be happening, including that Combat FC. But we just had reality fighting
Sure
at
did, yeah.
Mohegan Sun, and we had some great fights there. A lot of talent, a lot of grappling. So we're just gonna bypass that. But there was a couple of fights I believe dropped out.
Yeah.
That you had an interview or two with.
Yeah, yeah.
But
Cam Nisky, his
yes.
opponent, I don't know exactly what happened. I got to catch up with him on that. But his opponent pulled out of the fight, and so that fight didn't happen. But I did get an interview in, or actually, I didn't get an interview in before the fight. But Harris Bonfiglio, him and I had a great post-fight interview at like 1:30 in the morning from his hotel room, all banged up after he submitted Casey Norton, which was a huge fight here in New England. Flyweight title. Harris came back after like a year and a half, if I'm not mistaken, away from the game, and submitted him in the second round. And I was super cool to talk to him after the fight. That's something that I did recently today. I interviewed Nate Grieve. He's on that Combat FC card. But yeah, man, that reality card was super cool. It was super cool to talk with Harris after his fight, after a big layoff and after a win over such a big opponent.
Yeah, and hats off to Casey for stepping up and taking on a challenge like that. I mean, Casey's early in his pro career, and he was on the rise. He could have took an easier fight, but he didn't do that.
100%.
I mean, he took Harris, who's arguably up there number in the
Oh yeah,
number
man.
three in New England, possibly number two
Yeah,
ahead of
exactly.
Valentin. You know what I mean?
That's what he was saying the other day. Is it's the flyweight. There's only like obviously when we talk about this whole picture, I'll name them all right now. We're talking about Mitch Raposo, Justin Valentin, Casey Norton, and Harris. They're some of the best flyweights we've got out here. But man, those four flyweights. That's a cool like flyweight Grand Prix or flyweight tournament right there. Like I want to know who's the best out of all those guys. And obviously we've got some big fights coming up that'll tell us. But that's a good four flyweights.
Yeah, exactly. And like you said, we have a couple of fights, at least one of them on the 27th, that's going to decide, I would say, who's number one in New England. And, there could be matchups on the horizon if, after this, whoever's hand is raised on the
Yeah.
27th.
Yeah. I mean, listen, we saw Casey Norton and Harris Bonfiglio as like kind of like one side of the tournament. Now we're going to see Mitch Raposo and Justin Valentin as the other, provided that the other one probably, hopefully, should get the winner out of this fight coming up, this Cage Titans fight. They should get some sort of bigger opportunity. I would say a UFC fight or like a contenders fight, depending on which way it goes. But yeah, I mean, great guys, high class fighters, and that's, like I said, it's just a huge flyweight picture that we've kind of got going on right here.
Yeah, I interviewed Justin Valentin today about his title fight against Mitch Raposo, and I mean, Justin's only 4-2, but he took out. Yeah, he took out. I mean, he's seasoned. He started his MMA career, I think, in 2014 for his first amateur fight.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, he's on and off fighting because he's a busy man outside the cage.
Yeah.
But he's coached well, trained well, and he's got a good head on his shoulders. So I would say that 4-2 record doubles itself as far as the experience the kid had, and the wins he has as an amateur over Harris Bonfiglio,
Yeah.
Richie Santiago,
Yeah. Yep.
and Mike Kimball.
Yeah.
As
Mike
amateurs.
too, yeah.
So, it's nice to introduce him to Cage Titans because they really don't know who he is as far as the fan base
100%.
and the fighters. But I mean, you can't sleep on him. I
No,
think this.
not even close. I mean, Mitch Raposo's a Ultimate Fighter veteran, being coached by Alex Volkanovski, and that experience is invaluable. That experience is very, very, very beneficial to a guy like him. And I know he's been training at some amazing gyms out there in Las Vegas the past couple, here and there, every other fight or whatnot. But man, honestly, all four of those guys have huge potential. And I think it's probably one of the most, what do you call it? Like one of the deepest divisions we've got, in terms of potential. Like, I could honestly see all four of those guys doing big things, whether it's in the UFC or another big promotion in their career. They're all real solid fighters, and young too. I know there's a couple young ones in the mix. But yeah, I mean, if they keep doing what they're doing, I wouldn't be surprised to see them on a big time show, or have a big time contract in a couple years.
Yeah, and as you said, there are some young fighters in the mix that will be the next generation. Maybe some of them got 1 or 2 wins, but they're the real deal. And just seeing the progression of New England MMA fighters as far as the young guys coming up, man. Cage Titans just had that end of the year awards as far as, best fighters, best fights, all that other stuff. Angel Valdina gets fighter of the year. What a year that kid's had. What a couple of years he's had. Not a flyweight, but he's a bantamweight, and he's a force to deal with. But let's keep with Cage Titans. And man, I started a couple of wildfires with an interview yesterday
You
with
sure did,
Jake
Steve.
Hixenbaugh, and his rematch with Aaron Hughes. That fight has just turned into the people's main event just now.
You sure has. Credit to you, Steve. That type of stuff is really what it's all about out here. Those types of videos. I know Hicks and Hughes, that's a huge fight right there. And, fans should be excited for that one. It should, in my opinion, should be like a co-main event fight or something like that. I hope they get good placement on the card. But yeah, they're going to throw down. It's going to be a banger. And I know, Steve, you did a very good job of promoting that.
Well, I got to give credit to Cage Titans and Chris from the podcast that Aaron.
Yeah, Chris DiCarlo, Caged In podcast.
Yes,
Great
yes.
guy. He'll be up there at Combat FC 2, most likely. And he's another up-and-coming journalist out of New England. His podcast is amazing. He's doing great things. And quick shout-out for Chris. He's doing it.
Now, I'm going to say one thing about him. There was a vote for the media outlet of the year for Cage Titans, and I will be honest about it. I thought he should have won.
I agree.
You know what I mean?
100%.
Out of everyone that was up there, I thought he should have won as far as the media outlet for Cage Titans.
Yeah, Caged In, he did an amazing job, and that's self-made content right there. He uses some amazing, softwares and puts out a crazy product, amazing stuff. And he's out there doing it, man. He goes to these events, he interviews the fighters before and after the fights. He's really doing a great job of promoting some of these high level fights and high level athletes in New England. And yeah, I mean, I would agree with you, Steve. I think Caged In podcast should have taken that one home. But I know he's extra motivated to make it all happen and do it here in 2024. So I hope he does. I hope he gets it at the end of 2024. I think he's got a little chip on his shoulder. At least I would if I at least I would if I were him.
Well, I gotta say he's coming out of the gates pretty quick right now with some quality interviews that Cage Titans is throwing up on their Instagram and Facebook. So I've never met him. I've seen him running around Cage Titans, but maybe I'll meet him at Cage Titans on the 27th. Since they're using both our videos like on the opponents to kind of hype it. So it's pretty cool, man. But with that said, Dylan, as far as Cage Titans, we won't stay too much time on them. We got a storm outside. We got to move on to other things like Combat FC. But Cage Titans, we also have Joe Giannetti defending his 170-pound title against Sean Lally. All those people were on Cage Table Titans last night. And, man, what are you thinking about this card and the fights they announced already? You got Piersma on that card, as we talked, Hickson-Bow. There's some other beans out there of, other pro fights that are developing.
I know Cam Rezniski, he's looking for a fight here after having that opponent pull out at Reality. So I wouldn't be surprised if he makes it happen. And Mike Pulvier is usually really good about making those short notice fights and getting these guys these fights. So, man, hopefully he makes it onto the card. But as what I can say about the card is, man, unfortunately, I'm not going to be there. I wish I could make it. But that card is super stacked. Giannetti, I honestly didn't expect to see him fighting up there at 170 right now. He told everybody before the Dufort fight that he was going back to 155 and 170. He wanted that 155-pound strap. But I get it, man. The opportunity presented itself last fight for a short notice and, of course, take advantage. So it's cool to see him back in there. I'm looking forward to that Mitch Raposo, Justin Valentin main event for sure. Michael Dufort, or I'm sorry, not Michael Dufort. Man, I would like to see Michael Dufort.
That's your guy. That's your guy right there. Man. Hey,
cool.
Before we move on from him, have you spoken to him? I know you really, you guys became good friends from when he was here.
We get along pretty well. Michael Dufort, the Canadian badass, is one hell of a guy, man. He's awesome. I know his teammate Olivier Aubin-Mercier just hung up his gloves for his career, and so I'm sure they were kind of hung up on that and getting him all situated after his career. But Michael Dufort, I haven't heard any fight news from him, but I know he's itching for a fight. He's getting better. His team, H2O MMA up there in Canada, is really good, and he's been getting better and better. He's kind of like a Nate Grieve. Like I don't know why these guys aren't in the UFC right now. You know what I mean? Just to let everybody know, Michael Dufort submitted 2 UFC veterans in under 3 minutes combined, both of them. And I think he's a guy who should be in the UFC, and hopefully he can get that opportunity here in 2024.
Excellent. And just to give him one more prop, I do believe he won Crowd Silencer of the Year for Cage Titans, right?
He won. I think he won another one too. But yeah, I mean, I have a video from that Michael Dufort submission over Giannetti, and I always, like, I haven't looked at it in a couple weeks, but sometimes I go back to it because every fight you see a dude get submitted and everybody's going nuts. Oh my gosh, crazy submission, and everybody's up on their feet screaming. In this video, Steve, I'm not kidding you. He chokes him out. He submits him. The ref stops it, and Dufort gets up and puts his hand up on his ear. And dude, it was literally silent. All I heard were a couple of his Canadian fans in the back going nuts.
Oh yeah, I remember them.
Yeah,
good dudes. Yeah. All right, my man. Let's move on to Combat FC, because that's a card that you said that you will be at.
Yep, I'll be there, man. I'm looking forward to that card. Double main event, if you ask me. You might call it 2 title fights, but in my eyes, that is a double main event. We've got Jan Oliveira fighting Ali Zebian. That should be the main event, I think. That should be a banger. Jan Oliveira is undefeated as a professional. He's a welterweight right now, taking on Ali Zebian. It is a step up in competition. However, Jan Oliveira has been very, very, very dominant across the board in all 5 of his fights. So I think that's going to be a banger. I think they're going to go out there and throw some hands and have a great fight. And then the co-main event, we've got Nate Grieb taking on Don Shainis, which should be a banger as well. Don Shainis is a UFC vet. Nate Grieb is probably the next UFC fighter coming out of New England. And both guys are on, Don has had some ups and downs the past couple of fights, but Nate Grieb is on a 3-fight win streak, and I'm super excited for that fight too, man.
Well, you mentioned that you did interview Nate Grieb today, correct?
Yeah.
Can you give a bean about anything anything that stands out from that interview that he had to say?
One thing I'll stand on every time I talk to Nate Grieb, this was the 3rd interview I've done with him in the past year that I've been a journalist. Nate is getting better and better every fight. Training out there at American Top Team, he's training with some of the best. And he said it multiple times. You'll see it when I drop some clips. He's ready to go out there and kick his ass. So I've never talked to a fighter who has that motivation. Nate believes that he should have been in the UFC already. He's got a little chip on his shoulder, and I think his performance is going to be pretty exciting.
One little fact here is I interviewed Nate at a CES event at Twin Rivers. It was probably the last time they were there. And I don't know if it was after he fought Dan Dubuque. I'm not sure. I believe it was. I might be wrong about that. But he mentioned Don Shainis' name back then. And that was before Don got to the UFC.
Nate's been wanting this fight for 2 years, man. We touched upon it today. There's a lot of reasoning behind it, but this has been a fight that Nate has wanted for 2 years. And Nate told me today he thinks he's better. Don Shainis obviously has had the opportunities that Nate wants, and Nate is looking to win that fight. And hopefully, I would say, if Nate Grieb doesn't get a UFC call in any sort of fashion, whether it's a contender series or a short notice or anything, I'd say that something's wrong. But he's been taking out some great guys, and I think after this fight he'll be undeniable.
Yeah, I will be interviewing Don Shainis, I think Friday, Saturday, or Sunday over the weekend. So I'm sure he'll be watching that interview. We'll be waiting to see about that. When will you be releasing the Grieb interview?
The Grieb interview will be on the Cage Side Press YouTube video page tomorrow morning. As soon as our editor posts it up there, it'll be there. It's already uploaded. He just needs to go in there. A couple minor tweaks. It'll be ready to go. New England MMA and my page, it'll be up probably tomorrow or even tonight, honestly. After we get off here, I plan on grinding for a couple hours before I have to work tomorrow. The content will be ready tomorrow morning, whether it's posted tonight or tomorrow. But it'll be ready. That way I can post it from my job if I have to. But yeah, man, I'll probably, to answer your question, it'll be out tomorrow afternoon at the latest.
Well, I'm sure Don will be checking it out.
Yeah.
And I'll be checking it out to get some info on what to ask Don about it. And,
I know. For Don's credit, he's been out there at Syndicate MMA training with Merab Dvalishvili, one of the best bantamweights in the world. And I think he's probably doing well. I'm sure his training camp's going well. I know Nate Grieb trains at American Top Team. He's telling me today how much he respects a guy like Grant Dawson. Grant Dawson, UFC fighter. And I guess Grant has been a huge part of Nate's success and, just a great friend for him at ATT after Nate picked up his whole life and moved out to Florida. But yeah, I know they're both at great camps right now doing great things. So it's going to be probably the most high-level fight you'll ever see in New England. These guys are training with the best in the world, and it's only time, and time will tell until these guys are kind of done with New England and on to bigger and better things,
Excellent. Well, I had John Doomer in the Room podcast last week with Leon Davis, the jiu-jitsu guru.
Yeah.
And as we know, John will be defending his bantamweight title against a newcomer to New England, or not a newcomer. He's fought for CES before,
combat,
Karate combat. He has been in New England. He fought for CES. He fought Chris Motino.
Oh, well, yeah, I think actually I did a little research and found that. Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know too much about the kid, but John being here mentioned just like you did that. He is a karate combat veteran.
Yep.
A dude coming from Brazil, you don't think he's going to be this karate, doing twirls and karate kicks and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But
I,
maybe
if
he's
I'm
just.
not if I'm not mistaken, the opponent, John Duma's opponent, he actually trains with Jan Oliveira up there in New Hampshire. Um, if I'm not mistaken, when I did the Jan interview, he told me that he was training with the guy who was fighting John Duma, and they trained together.
Oh, excellent! So he's
Yeah.
relocated. He's here.
Yeah, I think
So
so. I forget which state they're in. I
yeah.
want to say it's New Hampshire. I think it's New Hampshire. But yeah, apparently he said they've been training some together, and they've been training partners for a little bit too.
Well, as we know, John goes forward. Doesn't mind taking a shot. So this is going to be a fireworks fight, also.
Sure is. Yeah, I mean, man, Steve, you just made me remember. That's 3 title fights that night. Then you've got the bantamweight, the welterweight, and the featherweight.
And then maybe they might be an amateur
Yeah,
title in there, here and there. You know what I mean?
Thinking a double main event. How about a triple main event?
Well, you just had Mike Jolica winning a title at Reality, the 145-pound amateur, and he's also the title holder at Combat FC at 145 amateur. Maybe he'll jump right back in there and defend that title in a month from now. You know what I mean?
It wouldn't surprise me, honestly. Those guys, they love to fight. But February 9th, Wilmington, Mass. I've got my tickets booked, my hotel booked, and I'm looking forward to being up there. Combat FC 6, I think it's going to be their biggest event to date in terms of high-level fights. Like I said, Don Shanis, Nate Grieb, I'm sure one will make it to the UFC before the other. One has already been to the UFC, so no disrespect, but it's going to be real hard for him to get back there. I think that's just the name of the game. Hopefully, Jan Oliveira, another guy, 5-0, he can get a big finish over Ali Zebian. That guy might be ready for the Contender Series. This card has a lot on the line. Some big wins can definitely land some guys some high-level fights for sure, I think. And hopefully, we see what we want. And all I'm looking for is some bangers. That's it. I just want to see some awesome fights. Obviously, there will be some winners and some losers, but that's the name of the game. And when I'm media, I can't root for anybody really. I have people that I've known for a while, people that I've watched for a while, and people that I want to see win. But there's no shout outs or anything like that. I can't do anything like that. But I hope. All I want to see, win or lose, really, whoever it is, I want to see people get big opportunities that they deserve, and I want to see some bangers of fights. That's about it. Win or lose for everybody, I hope that I want people to get better and better, and I want to see people get some big opportunities and make some big money.
Well, I can say that I can root for a fighter if I
You
want.
can. You can. I probably could, but it's against my my ethics.
Yeah, dude, you're under contract now. You can't be a fanboy.
Yeah, obviously, like it sucks, but I've gained. I don't really look at this sport anymore as I want someone to win. I just want to see people make it to the next level, take advantage of opportunities, and at this point, I just want the best for everybody.
Well, my friend, one more thing about Combat FC. It will be back on Fight Pass. So that's a huge opportunity. Like you said, there's, what would you say, 3 title fights?
3 title fights. You brought it to my attention. I thought there were only 2, but now I had to take a minute and think back a little bit, and we got 3 title fights.
And also, Garib will be a double champ, correct?
Yeah, Grieb will be a double champ.
All right.
We talked about that today. He's going to have the CES lightweight title, provided that he wins. He'll have the CES lightweight title, have the featherweight title of Combat FC, and then when he beat Yair Jr., that was for the Combat FC lightweight titles. He's gonna have both CES and Combat FC, and then another Combat FC.
Options, options, options for that kid. I remember seeing Garib fight at Reality when he was an amateur, and
he wanted to be on this card. He wanted to get on this card. He told me today. He doesn't want to take these 6 months or 8 months. Yeah, 8 months that he's been away from the game. It's a long time, but he'll be ready, and I know Don Shanos will be ready too.
Well, I'll be waiting for that interview to get my beans to ask, Don when I do talk to him. But let's move on, Dylan. The next closest card, I do believe, is Combat Zone.
Combat Zone, yeah, sounds about right. You're talking about after Combat FC, right?
Combat FC, yes.
Yeah, I think you're right. Combat Zone at the SNHU Arena, right up there. Jeff was talking about it the other night.
I've just started seeing the posters and some posts on Instagram. I think
it's at the end of February.
A little ways back, I did see Nick Alley mentioning, making a comment that he's fighting. I would imagine it's for Combat Zone. So
Lars told me that he'll be fighting for Combat Zone. We had a little chat, me, him, Travis, and Jeff the other night about all this stuff happening. We invited you, but you must have been a little busy, Steve.
When was that? Sunday?
No, Sunday. You must have been at work.
Yeah, I don't remember. I remember you guys all trying to get on, but I was doing. Something was going on with me.
Yeah, no, and also I know your major focus now is more inclusive and more. You're interviewing just about anyone these days, whether it's magicians or comedians. And
I like that. Hey, I didn't even think of magicians. I might have one down.
You've had a lot of music. You've had the comedy guy.
Yeah.
But dude, you need a magician.
Yes, I definitely do. Tomorrow, speaking of different guests, tomorrow I have in studio, I have a young lady comedian that's going to be on.
Wow.
So she's very young. She's probably around your age.
Good for her, man.
And I hear she's killing it in the local scene, so I'm gonna have her here. She's in college, and on the side she does comedy and travels around.
Yeah, man. Good for her.
Yeah, so I'll have that in here, and next week I don't know what I'm gonna have, but Dylan, I just love the gabbing with people, and you have that same gift. You
should have a magician on there. Bro, you can have a magician and a comedian at the same time. That would be a crazy one right there. That would be, you'd have a guy cracking jokes and a guy, doing some magic.
How about we have a magician who is a comedian at the same time?
Man. that would be quite the fellow right there.
Dude, all I want is someone to roast the shit out of me. I've had 3 or 4 comedians on here so far, and none of them roasted me. You know what I mean? So I need, making fun of me. Make me, humbled, if you could.
We gotta get you what do you used to call that? A mean comedian? A dirty comedian?
Or you remember what was the racist comedian there? Ari, whatever. He hangs around with Joe Rogan.
I think I know exactly who you're talking about.
All right, we won't go there. But my man, let's you want to wrap it up? You want to
Well, Steve, I have a huge interviewing background and personality. So let me ask you a question about your 2024.
Here we go. Let's go.
All right. So Steve, I know you made the transition. You've really honed in on your Room podcast. What are your plans? What are you looking to accomplish here in 2024? I know you have made some decisions, but what's the main goal for 2024?
Is to make this more of a Joe Rogan style podcast where anything goes as far as guests, as long as they're interesting and they have to have a following, so that we can kind of help each other out.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's just the way it got to be. I mean, there's people with no following that have great stories, but I'm just trying to get to
be a little more inclusive and talk to more talent. I like that.
I grew up as a musician. I think I'm kind of funny, so I like the comedy people coming on here.
Yeah.
It's a whole nother lane to get more views, and like I told Mike Polvere when he was on here, and other people who asked me, I mean, it's gonna help the MMA community and all the communities involved, because you're going to get fans that are going to get into music or maybe check this band out who's on the podcast, or you're going to going to have a band that's going to, or bands watching is going to check out fighters or
Yeah.
comedians
Yeah,
that.
exactly. We're
So
kind of incorporating everybody.
everything. It's all about
Yeah.
entertainment, and they're all
It's a good
entertain.
mindset, Steve. I
They're,
like it.
they're all entertainers, and I'm all about learning about people and how they got to that point, and it's
Yeah.
crazy. You know what I
And
mean?
their story, yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
all about. So
Yeah, I like it, man. Thanks for your quality answer.
excellent, man.
How about this, Steve?
All right. Keep 'em coming.
What show are you coming to next, New England MMA wise? Like,
all right.
what show are we going to see you at next?
You will see me at Cage Titans 27 on the 27th. I'm sorry, Cage
Very
Titans
nice.
63. I'm not sure at what capacity. I might be sitting in the front row with Rob Pico, drinking a bunch of beers and getting stupid. Or
You've got that power. You've got that flexibility now, Steve.
well, yeah. So, or if Cage Titans needs me to, run around and do something, guzzle beers with somebody on camera, I will do that. Whatever's needed of me as far as to help the team out and help the show be
You're
more
just like-
entertainment.
We should put you in a mascot suit.
How about put me at a Dunkin' tank as you're coming in?
Yeah.
Let me just fall into the ice bath. You know what I mean?
That would be one. How about Combat FC? You going up
I'm
there?
going to go there too, as
All
a
right,
fan.
I'll be there. I'll see you there.
As a fan.
I'll see you there.
Dylan, I believe you and I, to leave this off, and then I'll let you give your shout outs and, what you're looking forward to as far as, your year. I think you covered it, but we'll go over it again.
Yeah, I'll give a little snippet.
But what was my question? Oh, all right. So I believe it was you and I. Of course, it was New England MMA, but we popped your cherry at Cage Titans.
Yes.
Correct?
Sure did. Yep.
I'm
disappointed I can't make it up to this show.
Well,
but yeah, you guys definitely did that at the last Cage Titans show, and I'm glad I went, man. It was an awesome show. Some high level fights, high level production. I like their little culture that they've got up there in Plymouth.
well, I know Mike loves what you're doing. He loves passion. He loves people that have that work ethic about him. And man, if you can move in and help some Cage Titans fighters out with some interviews, and getting them to some of your fans and stuff like that, man.
Yeah.
Mike Polvere will love it, and he'll greet you with open arms, man.
Yeah, definitely. I just finished up some big interviews today. I had, like I said, Nate Grieb and Zach Paunga. Zach is a former NFL player who he got cut by the Texans and then picked up his life and became an MMA fighter. He's a UFC light heavyweight now, and he's fighting on February 10th. But this coming Friday, I hope I can remember him. I've got 3 interviews. Actually, no, this will be easy to remember because I'm actually interviewing Justin Valentine like you did today. I'm interviewing Billy Goff, and I'm interviewing Connor Matthews. Connor got that big fight coming up out there in AC, and so I want to interview those guys and see what's going on and check up on them for the early 2024.
Excellent, my man. I love it, bro. I love it. Congratulations, man, on all your growth. And,
Thank you, Steve. You've been a true role model. A good guy to look up to, and look at what you're dealing with, this high level production. You're sitting in the room with some amazing equipment, and you definitely, you sparked a lot of a lot of interest for me. So I definitely have to give the credit where it's due. And man, you're always fun to be around and stuff like that. So I'm looking forward to seeing you up there at Combat FC. But yeah, man, I appreciate it. But you guys at New England MMA really did help me get jump started and help me get to where I am now, if that makes sense. And I'm glad to be with the guys and be able to contribute some of my work to them because great group of guys who helped me get up here now.
Excellent, my man. You're running with it, bro. We all saw something in you, and it's paying off right now. So with that said, Dylan, I imagine your social media is growing as far as where you're reaching out, where you're going. You want to throw out where people can find
definitely.
you? So just send it out there.
Hold on. We just got a big headline.
Oh.
First. Game Bread. You got Junior Dos Santos and Alan Belcher fighting out there on March 2nd in Orlando. That was a cool fight. I
Oh,
just got the
speaking of
notification.
game bread, didn't I just saw that there's Masvidal and Diaz
Yeah,
are in talks
yeah,
for a
that's
boxing match.
that's booked. That'll be insanity. A lot of people were saying that one, if not both of them, would have been on the UFC 300 card. That throws that out of the
Yeah,
picture now.
they're gonna make
But
millions. They're gonna make
yeah,
millions boxing. So
yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I kind of like all this little
yeah,
crossover, bare knuckle. Especially I don't like it for guys who have so much potential and they're in the middle of like
yeah,
kind of like waiting for the UFC and stuff. I feel like if you go over there and get too banged up or really, make some weird decisions, it could kind of throw off a trek to the UFC. But at the end of the day, it's them and their career and their money. And I know money is important and stuff like that. But yeah, man, I think all of the crossover stuff is super cool.
Dylan, did you mention all your social media yet?
No, I got you.
All right.
I'll do it right now. So my social medias, you guys can find me on Instagram. My full name, Dylan Napoleone MMA. No spaces or anything like that. Just one word. I'm starting to put more work on YouTube because Cage Side Press, they are heavy on YouTube. So Cage Side Press YouTube, you'll see a bunch of interviews by me. And yeah, I'm branching off. I'm starting to get into like I should have been in it a long time ago, but Twitter and stuff like that. That's slowly populating and slowly building right now. It's same thing, Dylan Napoleone MMA. And yeah, man, my Instagram is my main focus. That's where I feel like I can really put the best content out, and so that's really where you'll see the full display, if that makes sense. And YouTube as well, Cage Side Press YouTube. But I'm gonna have some articles coming out soon for New England. So basically, like I said, to make it easy for everybody, my Instagram, Dylan Napoleone, and Cage Side Press YouTube. Those are the big ones right now.
Excellent, my man. Well, my friend, awesome catching up with you. We'll do it every so often, my man. And, I'll be seeing you at the fights on when are they for Combat FC? February when?
February 9th.
Well, then, we'll have a recap show together about that event. Maybe the following Wednesday.
Yeah, man. I'll look forward to seeing you up there in Wilmington. I think the whole rest of the crew, like Travis, Lars, Jeff, all of them will be at that show too. So it'll be a little reunion for everybody. I know you're going to be having a lot of fun, and I look forward to having some fun after the fights for sure. But man, yeah, Steve, thank you so much for having me on today. It's always fun chatting with you, and makes me even more excited to chill with you at Combat FC.
Awesome, my man. Anytime you want to take a ride to Rhode Island and Johnston, come on down, hang out, man.
2024, I promise. At some point, I'll be there.
All right, my man. Take a friend with you. Take a fighter or something, or
I'll bring someone up there with me.
All right, we'll figure it out. We'll get it going, my friend. All right, with that said, Dylan, thank you so much, man. Don't hang up. Do not hang up. I just want to chat with you for a couple of minutes after we leave. But with that said, I do have a comedian on tomorrow, MEYK. MEYK. She will be on tomorrow. She will be on the podcast tomorrow. Tommy Shayhood will be back tomorrow in the podcast after taking all of December off.
Tommy's back.
Tommy is back, and he's gonna
win, man. He's always cool to watch on the show, and I know he has a lot of cool things going on. So jiu-jitsu and weed farms and
all that stuff right there. So he better come in he better be packing some product when he comes in here tomorrow. And then I have to say, next Monday I will be on Table Titans with Mike Polvier.
Awesome, Steve.
Mike Polvier
good for you.
And the boys there. I don't know if we're doing a hot wing hot take. The last time we did that, I was tarred and feathered from New England. That will not happen again. But I will be there on Monday. Stay tuned for some more interviews from me, from the Cage Titans. Check out Justin Valentin's interview that we just released today. And then we'll see what's cracking for next week. But follow us both, man.
Follow us both, man. We're looking forward to having a bright 2024. And last from me, thank you again, Steve. I appreciate the time tonight.
We out.